Hello everyone, I'm Hesterry and this is episode 2 of my shipbuilding tutorial. If you haven't seen episode 1, you should probably go watch that first. There's an annotation link on screen and a link in the description below. Today we're going to start step 3 and actually get to some building in-game using the notes and sketch that I made in step 1 and 2. As usual though, there are a few things to go over before getting started. First of all, I recommend building your ship in DirectX 9. DirectX 11 still has some lighting issues, so it's generally easier to see what you're doing in DX9. When you go to paint your ship later on, you should switch to DX11 if that's what you usually play on, since the colors are a little bit different. Also, if you're going to be building a lot of ships in Creative, I suggest you make a world template that you can copy whenever you start a new project. This way, you don't accidentally use the wrong settings when making a fresh Creative world and, say, leave drones on and get attacked while you work. Here are the settings that I recommend using. Make sure that even though you're working in Creative, you set the inventory size to whatever you normally play with. Even though Creative gives you an unlimited inventory, this setting will still affect how your cargo affects the mass of your ship. Then, whenever you start a new project, you can simply click the Save As button and save a copy of the template. One last thing before I start building. I recommend using a checklist of the various components you may need or want to use in your ship. It can be very easy to forget things while you're building, and you don't want to finish your ship and find you've forgotten something important. Here's the checklist that I use. It's pretty all-inclusive, but I don't build everything on this list. Instead, I've color-coded everything by importance. Red means that these parts are either absolutely essential or should only be excluded for an extremely good reason. Green components are important, but can be left out if necessary. And finally, blue components are pretty much optional, depending on the exact build. Alright, let's get to it. So step 3 is to build a rough layout in-game using light or heavy armor blocks, whichever is appropriate for your build. In this step, I don't actually place any components. Instead, I use a simple color coding system to mark where I'll put various components. I find this makes it much easier to move things around, and I end up spending a lot less time fiddling with things as I build. Again, make sure that you have room for everything your ship needs during this stage, so refer to the checklist as needed. Also, take a minute to consider whether you want your ship to be an even or odd number of blocks in width, height, and length, as it will affect your placement of cockpits, doors, and similar blocks. So, let's start by placing down a station block. Always good to build large grid ships as a station, so they are less likely to float off in space should you bump them or something. So the first thing I'm going to do is just lay out a long pillar, about the approximate length I think this ship will be. And if you don't know, you can lay down pillars of blocks by holding Control and clicking and dragging. Or, if you hold Shift and Control, you can lay down planes. And that will make it much easier to lay down large groups of blocks if you didn't already know how to do that. And the next important thing to set up right when you start is mirroring. If you don't know, you can do this by hitting the M key, as in Mother, and that will give you this display. And you can keep tapping it to go through different types of mirroring planes. But I'm going to set up this, and that'll do for my mirroring. And I'll tap N as in Nancy twice to toggle it off, and back on it again, and now I'm ready to build. So, according to my layout, I think I want this. Yeah, so the first thing I'm going to do is basically trace the layout I made. Get a rough outline of the ship going. And according to my sketch, looked something like this. I think I've already made a mistake. Oh, that bug. Yep. Alright. Now typically, I like to build my ships as odd numbers for all the dimensions, as it makes it much easier to place different components as you're going. And sure enough, I made a small mistake. But it's an easy fix. There we go. Alright. So, the first thing I'm going to do is lay down the bridge, or the crew quarters, as I think I put them on the sketch. I want them to be pretty centralized. So wait, how big was this again? 49, so this should be 25. That's the center. Alright. So I've marked the center of the ship here. And then I'll start building around that, pretty much. So let's start with the bridge. Oops, which will be there. I'll do it over here as well. Keep things balanced. Alright, sorry about the flickering. I'll turn that off in a moment. Alright. Oop, there we go. So this is the start, pretty much. I think this will be big enough for the bridge, probably. Yeah, it's a little small. Maybe I'll make it a bit bigger. Let's do this. Yeah, that'll be fine. Yeah. Okay. So, according to my sketch, I have the reactors positioned on either side here. So, rather than placing down reactors, I'm just going to use some color blocks, to sort of mark where I'll be putting them later on. And usually I use green for various forms of power, whether it be reactors or solar or batteries. And I just lay out a few blocks. Oh, I should be using mirroring. Oops. I lay out a few blocks like this. And now I know where I'll be putting some large reactors. Cargo. Right, I had cargo in the corners here. I'll grab that color. 4. I have to remember that these are actually 3 by 3, even though I'm not going to place all the blocks for them. So, yeah, cargo will fit here. For cargo and conveyor, I usually use yellow. So I'll do the same over here. Again, trying to keep things uniform. Yeah, that looks right. But it's definitely, well, maybe it will be enough reactors. I'm not sure yet. And then for gravity and propulsion, like thrusters, I use blue. And I think I want the gravity drives to go 5. Oops, should have left that. Alright. I think I'll have my gravity drives go there. And the same on the other side. This way they're near the edges. 4, 5. But still close enough towards the center that they'll be protected by a lot of armor. Alright. I may have to move those. We'll see. We'll see. Reactors. Yes, I think I will want more reactors. Yes, I think I will want more reactors here? Yeah, let's try that. I might change my mind. We'll see. Though it doesn't leave... Well, that's 2 layers of armor between the reactors and the gravity. I guess that's okay. Yeah, no, that's fine. Do I need more cargo? No. This is fine. Oops. Oh, decoys. Yes, decoys are important. For decoys, I usually use pink, because I think they're trolly, and pink is a good trolly color, so let's do pink. We will have decoys here. Not there. We will have decoys in these, or in this plate on the front. Oops. Yeah. Yeah, that's enough. And decoys in the other corners too. Let's grab that color. 4, 4. Alright. Decoys placed. What else? Now I know that there are going to be rocket launchers along these faces here on both sides. But I also need to think about where I want my torpedoes to go, as they are going to be a pretty important weapon for this ship. Now, in the sketch, let me turn off mirroring. In the sketch, I was thinking about using this space here on both sides for some torpedoes. But that makes me a little bit nervous, because after the torpedoes launch, that'll leave these holes in the sides here where something could fly in and cause damage. It's unlikely, but it is kind of like a Death Star type weakness, and I'd rather not have it. So in looking at this, I think I will just put rocket launchers here and have the torpedoes over here and over there on both sides. Is that safe? That seems like a better idea. Though there is well, no, there's not a whole lot of armor there. 8 blocks, that's not very much. But then over here I have the gravity drives. Maybe I'll move the gravity drives out a bit. God, but then aiming these missiles, or these torpedoes, is going to be tricky. Oops. A problem already. Well, what about if I move this out? I could round this armor off to protect it, but then that wouldn't be rounded off. But then there's the plate. But I have plans for that plate. This is a problem. How much space do we have here? Now I know these drives are going to be fairly big. Oops. So let's fill that in to better visualize what I'm doing here. Just turn mirroring on again. Alright. So, how much space, oops, is there here? 7, 8. That's a fair bit of space. So what if we have, what if we have 2 layers of armor, and the torpedoes here? It's gonna make for some small torpedoes. Oh, I know what I can do. Alright, here's what I'll do. Let's make 3 layers, 3 layers. Or it isn't 3 layers, it'll be 2 layers of armor. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. I might make this ship just a little bit bigger. We'll see. 1, 2. Oh no, that's perfect. That actually fits perfectly. Great. Alright, I'll explain what I'm doing here. So, basically I need little bays for these torpedoes. And again, the big problem with having little bays in your ship is that it's sort of an empty space as far as armor is concerned. So if you do get hit after firing off your weapons, you have nothing to stop whatever projectile might be hitting you. So it's always worth considering where you're going to tuck things in, such that there'll still be armor left over to protect your various internal components. So this way, I'll have 2 layers of armor between these bays and my cargo containers and my reactors, and of course my all-important gravity drives. And what I can do to allow for bigger torpedoes, because This would only allow for, yikes, 5-block torpedo at most. Probably only 4. So what I'm going to do is round this hull out, which I was planning to do anyway. How far away is that? 3, 4, 3 blocks. Yes. Alright. So immediately, we just gain some space, which will allow for these torpedoes to be at least 5 blocks, maybe 6, depending on what I want to do. Maybe even bigger. Maybe I'll widen this up a little more. Then I have to decide what will fill in this area, as I do not like having unused space. Oh, let's make the other bay before I go too far. Whoops. Again, sorry about all the flickering. Alright. Should go there, there. So what I'm doing here, these nubs, I guess, are going to be merge blocks that the torpedoes would unmerge from. And the reason they're far apart from each other and the walls is because typically my torpedoes are 3x3. So if you have a torpedo like this way they have enough clearance between each other and the walls. So that's why that looks like that. And then weapons I mark in red. So we will mark all these, even though it's pretty obvious what they're going to be. Right. Wait a minute. Oh, I made a mistake. Ha! Fixed. Get rid of that. Okay. Progress. This is actually looking really good. But should have something here. Oh. Medical bay? Oxygen? Why don't we have medical bays? We could widen the bridge as well. There's no reason for it to be this small. Is there any reason to have it bigger though? Yeah, why not? Let's make this bridge a little bigger. And medical bays. Would there be room in here for a medical bay? Not really. Okay, so here's what we'll do. Oh, cryopods could also be... Well, it's a combat ship. I don't know. What else could we have? This ship's going to be flat. I just noticed. I was originally thinking this ship should be tall. Like that tall. But what would I put? It's like not that much needed. So this ship will be pretty flat. Whoops. It's not a bad thing. A smaller profile is good. Smaller target, particularly since we're putting the broadsides in the face of the enemy. Medical bay. I guess we could put that here. Yeah. Let's make that into rooms. So we could have medical bay on each side and some cryopods and then squeeze in oxygen here, next to all this. That's fine. I actually don't have a paint color for oxygen. I almost never use it. What would that fall under? Guess we'll do yellow as well. So, oxygen there. And there. Okay. So as you can see, we now have a pretty good layout. Yeah. Oh, of course, rocket launchers. Huh. Even though it's pretty obvious where they're going to go. We will have... Let's do sets of 3. Like this. I don't want to make them too dense, because it's unnecessary, and they're kind of laggy if you have too many going at once. So we'll spread them out a bit. Is there anything else? Really, no. I guess the front will have some mass, but you know, there's plenty of room in there. I don't need to mark it. I guess that's it for episode 2. If you have any questions or suggestions, please leave them in the comments below, and thanks for watching.